Okay, so this is gonna be a brief run through of the Mech Paladin as a deck. The first thing, and it should be obvious to everyone, is that the Mech Paladin is a very board-based deck. It's a good deck for beginners to climb on because it's very simple. There aren't that many difficult decisions to make, so very good for beginners. The downside is just that because it's kind of limited in that sense, most of the higher skilled players tend to avoid it, although it can still get you a decent rank at Legend. Yep. Okay, so looking at the core cards, if you take a look here, most of the cards are just core. The Scorpion here, basically you type in Mech into the card list and you pick most of them. So you have this jewel kit to buff cards. This Mech is just great. 1 mana card for 2/2 value in stats and Divine Shield as well. Overall value of 2.5 mana. Righteous Protector, just a very good card overall. Taunt, also synergy with the weapon here. Amalgam, just to discover more mechs. A Neutron, same reason as Protector, also is a mech. 2 radar detectors here, this is just to get card draw in case you run out of mechs. Seafloor here, this is Dredge, it also buffs the mech, very strong card because if you buff the Seafloor, it's going to carry the buff over to the next mech as well. And then the robot here, the automaton, this is just it's going to get stronger as you play more mechs. It's a generally good mech card. The Mooncatcher, so this one has a synergy with Seafloor. So when you play Mooncatcher, the Sunken one goes down. The Sunken one has the exact same stats, but the battle cry is to summon a copy instead. So you can imagine if this goes down as a 4/2, you put it up with Seafloor, it becomes a 6/4. It's going to be a 3 mana with 2 6/4, so very strong there. Gorilla Bot, pretty much the same thing as Amalgam. Okay, and here we have the Vindicator. So this one, it only draws one spell for our deck. It only draws the radar detector. Some of the decks actually run 2 of this, 2 for 2 radar detectors. But personally, I feel that just running 1 is better. In case you actually draw into 1 radar detector, and then you draw into this Vindicator after, it will still be able to pull the second detector out. And most of the games, the second Vindicator usually does absolutely nothing, so having 1 is just fine. Samro here, this is kind of a niche card in the situation. It's not core, it's more of a flex card. The use is, this is one of the only ways you will be able to gain back control of a board if you actually lost the board. Okay, like I started, I said Mech Paladin is a very board-based deck. So the Samro is actually super important in helping you get back the board in case you lost it. And also this can get buffed by Seafloor and also buffed by the weapon. So when it's buffed, of course, it's going to be more valuable. Okay, Bubblebot. Okay, it's just a great mech. For Paladin, gives every of your other mechs Divine Shield. So imagine a case where your mechs are all without shield. You can put this on, and then your opponent is going to have a hard time clearing them. For example, Warriors can't play Shield Shatter. Warlocks can't play the Curse spell, the 4 mana AoE, and stuff like that. So that's Bubblebot. Ini here is also kind of a niche card. It's not core to the deck, but you have it because you're just gonna play this on one of your leftover mechs, usually from the previous turn. You just put it on the biggest one, and then against Rush, Wind Fury, and Divine Shield, it helps you clear the board. And also, and if you're already ahead on board, you just place a very strong extra minion down. Battle Master here is used, also a niche card. It's also a flex card. It's not in some of the decks. I like to have it because it just gives you like this finisher. So a situation you can imagine is that you have some mechs on the board. You play Bubble Bot maybe, and then you protect them, and then the opponent tries to clear them, clears a couple, fails to clear the rest, and then you just play the Battle Master down with what you have left over, and for a finisher, and then just win the game off of that. Okay, and the spot that this Battle Master takes over is actually this Mothership. If you don't have Battle Master, just run 2 Motherships. So Mothership is the other card that can help you gain back tempo. As you can see here, there's a Rush and summon 2 random mechs. So let's say the opponent has a couple of minions more than you on the board, they're having tempo right now. You can play the Mothership, rush into that, and then it's going to pop up 2 more mechs. And in this way your board is going to get bigger, and that's going to help out. Okay, Smite, also a flex card. What this does, similar to Samro, okay, it can only get buffed by the weapon here and the Savior, but also same like a Battle Master, it's just used as a finisher. Okay, for example, you're pushing all the damage, your opponent starts to gain control of the board, but their health is kinda low. Smite here will help you finish it off. Okay, then Carriel. Carriel is just one of the strongest card on Paladin. Holy Paladin runs this as well. All Paladin run this Carriel. Even as a Mech Paladin, we run it as well. So what this does is, it does the AoE and then it gives you the weapon, which basically doubles your health. And it also gives you the hero power, which you can use to buff all of your mechs. Okay, the only difference with Mech Paladin is that we wouldn't keep this card in our mulligan because we have all the other mechs to play. But when you draw into this, it is a very strong card that will also help you win your games and give you extra value to your minions. Okay, and lastly the Leviathan, not much to be said about this, it's just a strong card, 7 mana for 4/5 and a 4/2, rush, divine shield, and draw a card along with dredge. Just overall a very good card. So moving on to the mulligan for this deck, you could use the, okay, I wouldn't actually follow it that strictly. Okay, so this cap percentage, this is more useful than the mulligan win rate actually, because you wouldn't really keep Samro in most games. So just keeping here. The Scorpion, this is always a keep. Weapon here, always a keep. They are 1-drops. I would always keep Seafloor as well. Also with Automaton. But here's where it changes here. Personally for me, because we are a mech based deck, I wouldn't keep this Righteous Protector all the time. I keep it for a couple of reasons. If I have the Jewel Kit, I will keep it to trigger the buff. If I have this Automaton, I will also keep it just so that it will help me protect the Automaton, and then it will give me a higher chance to start buffing the Automaton after turn 2. So turn 1 Protector, turn 2 Automaton, and then hopefully it will survive from the protection of the Protector here, and then this will get buff. Okay, so for me this is not always a keep situationally, but still a very strong card. And here, Mooncatcher, this one also always a keep. Always keep this card. So basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, always you keep it. Okay, Annoyatron, when I would keep it would be the same situation as with the Protector here. Both of them work kind of the same. Okay, and then for Vindicator here, this is more of a situational depending on the game. So for example, if you already have a good hand, then I would keep this for sure. It just helps you to refill your hand in case you run out. If you're against a slower matchup, the opponent is a slower deck, you might want to, like a control deck, for example a warrior or a warlock, you might want to keep this as well, so that you can draw into more stuff. But then let's say the opponent is an aggressive deck, for example Demon Hunter or like a rogue, then if your hand is not so good, I would throw this away. Because against such an aggressive deck, you really need to get tempo out early, and we won't actually have time to play a 3/1 for 3 mana, even if it helps you draw cards. Okay, Amalgam is just a general 2-drop, usually you don't keep this. Same with Radar Detector, never ever keep Radar Detector. And then the same thing goes for the most of the other cards, except, okay, so Samro, there is certain situations where I will keep this card. For example, I know that my opponent is a minion based deck. For example, I see that it's a Demon Hunter, I will keep Samuro. Another reason I might keep Samuro is if I see that I already have the weapon, I have a way to buff Samuro. That's just gonna make Samuro that much more powerful when it's buffed, and in that case I will keep Samuro as well. So if the opponent is gonna be board based, you think that you might lose the board, you can keep Samuro. And also, if it seems like it's going to be easy to buff Samro, you could keep it as well. Okay, and apart from, so that's it for the Mulligan, and also going through the deck. So playstyle wise, very simple. Pretty much you just play on curve. So just a couple rules to follow. One, maybe you try to play on curve, make the most efficient use of your mana. And two, you always want to get the biggest board state possible because you're a board based deck. Okay, so these are just the two general rules, and then of course you need to know what your opponent has, and that will just be more on your individual skill, how you view the opponent's deck, whether you think you should avoid some kind of AoE. For example, if you're playing against a warrior, you don't want to overextend into the board. Let's say you already have 4 or 5 minions, they're already protected. You don't want to play the 6th and 7th minion and then just end up getting brawled, and then you're just gonna waste all that value. Same thing with the other stuff. Yeah, so that's just more on the personal play, and that's pretty much it for the Mech Paladin.